Page 59, the chase. On page 58, they talk about the chromatic scale. I explained to you briefly about a chromatic passage. The notes go up by half step or down by half step for a few notes. Well, the chromatic scale is simply a scale that uses all the notes. When I did the videos on scales previously, I did not include a chromatic scale. You can do those on your own. They're no big deal, all right? They show you the fingering there on 58. It's not the only fingering there is for a chromatic scale, okay? But it's a good enough one, so just do it. And it works both ways. And in both hands. Just learn it's a good scale. It's a good warm-up. Something to do when you're first sitting down to practice, to do this first. Speed-wise, it's up to you, but it's got to be controlled, it's got to be accurate, it's got to be even. You got it. Okay. At the bottom of page 58, they talk about a chromatic scale in contrary motion. Well, I do all the scales in contrary. I do them in parallel where the hands go the same way. Contrary is where they're going opposite. Because you're mirrored, depending on the note you're starting on, the chromatic scale could be easy because you could be using the same fingers on the same white or black notes at the same time, and it makes it easier. Not always, but it does. So there's nothing. If I start on a C, slowly work it out, go up and down. It's just good practice for the scale. I actually use a different fingering for my chromatic scales, but this is a good one to start with. You can get the other fingerings later. For the chase, let's do this. This is a fun piece. It really is. It's an allegro moderato, which is meaning moderate is well, andante is a nice leisure stroll walking pace. A moderato is a little faster than that, and allegro is fast, so it's like a moderato, a moderate fast. A little slower than fast, but whatever. I don't know how fast that is. That's up to you. All right, but just for just the left hand, because both hands are playing eighth notes. All right, so if I one. To me, that's more of an andante. That's just kind of a nice. So if I speed that up just a little bit, now if I go fast, that's allegro to me. All right, so I got to slow that down. And that would be more like the speed it's going to go. All right, and something like that. When we play it together, we're going to go slow, because I need to have time to hear the notes clearly. Now, the left hand on this is staccato all the way through except for one note, and that is the last note on the third line. That is an E with your thumb, and that is a full quarter note. That's the only one. All the others are real short, regardless of where they are. In the right hand, you have staccato and legato both, so you have to just kind of watch out where you are and what you're doing. Notice the finger. You're starting out with the fourth finger in the right hand. It's just convenient. All right, you could just as easily start out with the thumb because it's a chromatic, but they do it because it's like a starting finger. The third line. Let's go over that briefly. Those first three measures in the third line, you're actually playing the same notes, just in different octaves. So you have the E, B, C, D, and you go over the hand to an E. Now, play them staccato. You got it. Of course, the fourth measure is not staccato. The last line, last two measures. The left hand, those notes, the E and the A, they have an 8VA bassa, which means an octave lower. They don't need the bassa, okay? The fact that it's an 8VA underneath them tells you to go down, all right? So rather than here, you're going to go down here. They put in an octave lower to remind you, but that's not part of the music, really. All they really need is that 8VA and that dotted line going to the end. If they didn't have that dotted line, then the only note that would be 8VA is the one where that's above the 8, so it would be here. But the dotted line tells you to continue the 8 VA until the dotted line ends. There, on the third line, the third and fourth measures, there's an 8 VA above the top hand, so the notes are written here. So you got to go an 8 VA means an octave above it, you go up here. Now the dotted line ends right there, so the last note in that line is not 8 VA, it's down here. Now the left hand does move around a little bit, because you're starting here, but in the second line you got to go up to here. Then in the third line you're moving all over, and then in the fourth line you're back down there, till you go way down. Yeah, try and keep up with all that. Now this is a trick, because the hands want to do the same things, but you got to get the left hand to do staccato, and at the same time get the right hand to do legato. And that's a trick, because they want to do the same. And so you may have to work. I had a terrible time with that at first. I couldn't do it. If one hand was staccato, the other had to be, or the same, legato or whatever. Now because of all the eighth notes, I put the metronome on 50, but it's beating quarter notes. And in 2/4 time, we just count to 2, so it's a 1 and 2 and 1 and those are eighth notes. Give you a total of 4 counts, and let's try this together. The left hand is here. The right hand's going to start here. It's going to move around. Of course, there's no pedal because of all the staccato and junk. 1, 2, ready, and go, and.